Down this camp might have won the battle, but they ain't win the war.
Said who I wanted.
You want Weezy?
Nah, I said I wanted 50. That's what I said. He don't want no smoke, though.
Oh, Lord.
I called my man out. He don't want no smoke. He ducking smoke.
At the height of the feud, T.I. and his team appeared completely at ease. From their point of view, the conflict had already been settled. Many fans watching from the outside felt that T.I. had actually come out on top in the rap clash, with all the momentum clearly in his favor. Then, almost overnight, everything changed. 50 Cent unexpectedly released what he claimed to be the first episode of a documentary centered around more than 20 sexual assault allegations linked to T.I. and his wife Tamika "Tiny" Harris. That single moment completely shifted the narrative. What had once been typical rap drama suddenly escalated into something far more serious and intense. Here's how the situation reached that stage. It all began with a threat. In early March 2026, 50 Cent uploaded an Instagram screenshot announcing a project titled Surviving T.I. and Tiny. In the caption, he directly referenced 20 sexual assault cases associated with the couple. Although the post was quickly deleted, the damage had already been done. Screenshots spread rapidly across the internet, and the story gained traction almost immediately. Anyone familiar with 50 Cent's track record understood the weight behind that post. When he teases documentary-style projects, it's rarely just talk. He has a history of turning those hints into real productions, and the outcomes have often been unfavorable for the subjects involved. What eventually surfaced didn't appear to be a complete episode. Instead, it looked more like a preview, something meant to signal intent rather than present the full story.
Shit, nigga wanna say something about my mama. Your mama dead as fuck, nigga. Your mama dead as fuck. Go dick.
But the reason it hit so hard was because of everything that led up to it. The tension between 50 Cent and T.I. didn't start recently. It goes back nearly 2 decades. In the beginning, it was mostly about regional pride. New York versus Atlanta, 2 major hip-hop hubs representing their own territory. But by 2008, things took a more personal turn when 50 Cent began accusing T.I. of cooperating with authorities. Those claims were tied to a major case from October 2007. T.I. had been arrested after authorities alleged he attempted to purchase machine guns and silencers from an undercover federal agent. At the time, he was reportedly facing up to 10 years in prison, making the situation extremely serious.
Post a picture of your motherfucking mama, nigga. She dead, nigga. Pay respect, nigga.
The case eventually led to about a year being served, but the controversy never fully went away. It followed T.I. for years, especially after 50 Cent referenced it in a lyric that kept the narrative alive within hip-hop discussions. That line was repeated constantly by critics and remained tied to T.I.'s name long after the case had ended. For much of the late 2000s, the rivalry cooled off. It never completely disappeared, but it stayed mostly in the background. Then around 2020 and 2021, T.I. began publicly pushing for something fans had been asking for, a versus battle, where legendary artists go head-to-head by playing their biggest hits. 50 Cent dismissed the idea every time it came up. But things heated up again during Super Bowl weekend in February 2026. T.I. appeared on the Nightcap podcast and claimed that 50 Cent had previously agreed to the versus battle before backing out.
Shit, niggas raised. I'm not raised like that. I don't go. I'm not going about my mama.
According to T.I., 50 had ducked the smoke, and that comment instantly lit the fuse. 50 Cent responded in his usual way, not with a diss track right away, but through social media. He reshared an old Crime Stoppers public service announcement that T.I. had once taken part in, using it to reinforce the same narrative critics had been repeating for years. Shortly after, he posted a photo of Tamika "Tiny" Harris, T.I.'s wife, on Instagram. The post, which appeared on February 22, 2026, featured an image that seemed selected, or possibly edited, to present her in an unflattering way. The caption mocked her appearance, and it immediately triggered backlash online. That moment pushed the situation into a completely different direction.
What's wrong with you? Y'all just better tie y'all motherfucking shoes. Y'all just don't know who the y'all fucking with.
T.I.'s son, King Harris, went live on Instagram almost immediately. His reaction pushed the situation far beyond a typical rap disagreement. During the stream, he brought up a deeply painful part of 50 Cent's past. 50 Cent's mother, Sabrina Jackson, was killed in 1984 when he was just 8 years old. It's a widely known part of his history, and King clearly understood the weight of it when he mentioned it. His comments directly referenced that tragedy, and the tone of the moment shocked many people watching the live. King framed his response as retaliation. From his perspective, if 50 Cent could go after his mother online, then he would respond in a similar way. His message was clear. He believed the disrespect started with 50, but the internet reacted differently. For many, bringing up someone's deceased parent crossed a line that most rap feuds don't touch. clips from the live stream spread rapidly across social media, gaining traction everywhere. The following day, February 24th, T.I posted a video on his own page, dancing with his mother. The caption read, "Happy birthday, mama," while one of his diss tracks played in the background.
Well, T.I. decided to respond and play into it and say, "I'm going to use it to promote my music." He said, at 50 Cent, "I don't fear my past. I'm too focused on the future. Top 20 in 2 weeks and climbing. Now, hashtag let them know that. King, I'm love, not life. Hashtag my God don't play."
Fans quickly noticed the contrast. T.I was celebrating and showing love to his living mother, while his rival had lost his years earlier. To many viewers, it came across as another subtle jab in the middle of the feud. That same week, another voice entered the situation. Domani Harris, another of T.I.'s sons, released a diss track titled Ms. Jackson on February 27, 2026. The title alone sparked conversation, and the timing added even more tension to an already heated rivalry. Then King Harris escalated things even further. In one diss video, he appeared wearing a t-shirt printed with an image of Sabrina Jackson, 50 Cent's late mother. The imagery and tone of the video triggered strong reactions across social media. Even some people who supported T.I felt that moment crossed a serious line. Meanwhile, something unusual happened. 50 Cent went silent. At first, many assumed the silence meant he was stepping away from the feud. Others believed the opposite, that he was preparing something bigger behind the scenes. And when he finally made his next move, it wasn't another diss track. Instead, he dropped a move that shook everything. Around that time, he posted, and later deleted, an Instagram screenshot teasing a documentary titled Surviving T.I and Tiny. The caption referenced 20 sexual assault cases connected to the couple, and the post spread across the internet within minutes.
Hey everyone, how you doing? I am just bringing it to your attention that it is now July the 6th, and I gave you 2 days for a grace period just because I had to get my shit together. I was having a good time, but 5 mics, there's an app check for you or a paycheck for me.
He wasn't just trolling anymore. At that point, 50 Cent was aiming directly at a specific set of allegations, claims that have surrounded T.I and Tamika Tiny Harris since 2021, and signaling that he might build an entire production around them. That's what made the moment hit so hard. What leaked wasn't a complete episode. It felt more like 50 putting his strategy on display, and everyone watching understood the message because they had seen him make similar moves before. What gives his documentary threat real weight isn't just the idea itself, it's the subject behind it. The situation he was pointing to dates back to January 2021, when allegations involving T.I and Tiny Harris suddenly surged into public attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, you see him, the gentleman, an ambassador of the South, has, now I'm trying to get an update, Tip. You called out 50 Cent and said you want to do the versus
let me tell
battle.
you something, guys. Hey, listen.
Here we go.
Hey, look, let me tell you something, guys. I know what the most entertaining and probably the most relevant, humorous thing for us to talk about. And I guess we can talk about it.
The first major break in the story came from Sabrina Peterson, an entrepreneur and former associate of the couple. Once she spoke out, the situation escalated quickly. Peterson publicly accused T.I of threatening her with a gun during an incident she said happened back in 2009 that after her post gained attention, she claimed more people began reaching out within days. According to Peterson, she received messages from over 30 individuals who described similar experiences involving Tamika, Tiny Harris, and T.I. The accusations ranged from drugging and coercion to sexual assault, allegedly spanning from 2005 to 2018. By March 2021, attorney Tyrone A. Blackburn stated that he was representing 11 accusers. Based on public reports at the time, 8 women alleged direct sexual assault involving T.I, Tiny, or individuals connected to them, while 3 others brought related claims. Many of the accusations followed a pattern that people online said was difficult to ignore. Several women claimed they were invited to parties, hotels, or private settings, where they were given drinks they believed were laced with substances, including MDMA, and then subjected to acts they described as non-consensual. Some accounts included detailed allegations. One woman claimed that in 2010 she was forced to take drugs and engage in sexual activity at a hotel while unable to give consent. Another accuser alleged that same year T.I. and another man drugged and assaulted her in a hotel room.
Some people call me Tip, but this is about another kind of tip that can help our mothers, our sisters, our brothers, and our fathers help get the perpetrators who commit crimes against them off the streets. All you got to do is call Crime Stoppers Atlanta. Tips can be anonymous, and there's even a reward. The number to Crime Stoppers Atlanta is 404-577-8477. That's 404-577-TIP.
These weren't isolated rumors floating around gossip blogs. Attorney Lisa Bloom publicly stated she represented 2 additional women with similar allegations, which further expanded the scope of the story. But the New York Times later reported that it had spoken with 5 women who described a similar pattern involving alleged drugging and assault. Meanwhile, attorney Tyrone A. Blackburn sent letters to authorities in California and Georgia requesting criminal investigations, describing what he called a pattern of methodical abuse. This is the material that had already been sitting in the public record for years, and it's the same material 50 Cent was now threatening to turn into a full documentary, putting it back in the spotlight for a global audience. That's why the threat carried so much weight. Winning a diss exchange is one thing, but facing a documentary built around sexual assault allegations is an entirely different kind of battle. In May 2021, the LAPD confirmed it had opened a formal investigation after at least 2 women came forward. However, by September 2021, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office declined to file charges, citing that the statute of limitations had expired on many of the claims. Around the same time, the VH1 reality series T.I. and Tiny, Friends and Family Hustle was canceled, even though no criminal charges were ultimately brought. The issue resurfaced again in January 2024 when a woman identified as Jane Doe, described in reports as an Air Force veteran, filed a civil lawsuit under California's Sexual Abuse and Cover-Up Accountability Act, which temporarily reopened certain older claims.
How did Falant's family find out about his death?
I told him. I called his mom first, then I told his cousin. I told his little girl.
How old was his little girl?
His daughter was 4 years old at the time. Five years old at the time.
And how did you tell his daughter that her father was dead?
He's in a better place and he won't be coming back. And I told her how much he loved her.
And how did you tell his mom that her son was gone?
Well, first I apologized. I apologized because, I felt that, all of those rounds were fired for me, in my opinion.
She alleged that in 2005, she met T.I. and Tamika Tiny Harris in the VIP section of a Los Angeles nightclub. She claimed she was given a drink she believed had been spiked by Tiny, and later taken to a hotel room where she says she was sexually assaulted while visibly impaired and unable to consent to T.I. And Tiny fought the lawsuit and requested dismissal. In August 2024, a judge granted that motion after the plaintiff failed to respond to the couple's filings, and the case was dismissed with prejudice. The couple has repeatedly denied all allegations against them, describing them as false, extortionate, and fabricated. In a January 2024 statement linked to the Jane Doe lawsuit, they said, "We are innocent of these fake claims. We will not be shaken down, and we look forward to our day in court. No criminal charges have been filed against them in connection with these accusations." T.I.'s defamation lawsuit against Sabrina Peterson, filed in federal court in September 2024, was still active with a June 2026 trial date. Legally, the case is held up in court for now, but that only matters inside a courtroom. A documentary operates under different rules. It doesn't require a conviction to damage reputations, reopen old narratives, or bring past allegations back into public focus.
50 Cent decided to wake up this Saturday, February 7th, on the dark side of the bed once again. And if you follow, I done spoke on that before, how I feel 50 Cent does not wake up on the wrong side of the bed in the morning. He wakes up on the dark side. And I say at least about half the month, maybe about 15 days, he gonna get it to the capital C's and go at somebody.
That's what makes this situation feel especially dangerous for T.I. and Tamika Tiny Harris. A legal outcome can't stop cameras from revisiting old allegations, interviewing accusers, and packaging years of controversy into a single, highly produced narrative. And that matters because 50 Cent isn't acting like a prosecutor. He's acting like a producer. History shows that when he starts shaping a narrative, he doesn't need a verdict for it to land. He operates with a method, not randomness. Through G-Unit Film and Television, 50 Cent has built a reputation for producing expose-style content centered around real-life controversies and figures connected to his orbit. That track record is exactly why people took this warning so seriously. His approach tends to follow a consistent pattern. First comes the social media provocation, loud posts designed to grab attention and spark immediate conversation. Then comes the public framing stage, where the story starts to take shape through interviews, blogs, and online debate. After that, production begins, and cameras enter the picture once the narrative is already well established in the public mind. By the time a documentary is actually filmed, audiences are already primed for what they're about to see. The film doesn't introduce the story, it reinforces it. And in that final stage, everything gets packaged together in a way that can permanently lock a narrative into public perception, regardless of what happens in court.
The conversation came from, if we in a case together and I die, put it on me.
God bless.
Put it on me, bro. If I'm dead and you can go home, man, put the case on me. You hear me?
Yeah.
And unless it was some shit I wouldn't be a part of if I was alive, you know what I'm saying? If you got some dope and I'm gone and you're like, man, shit, it wasn't mine, so, man, why not, bro? You still have a life to live after I'm gone. Why would I expect you to, where is the logic in that?
Right.
Where's the logic in?
He doesn't necessarily create the allegations himself. What he does is package them. He takes scattered accusations, public reports, and old headlines, then reshapes them into a structured narrative with a clear beginning, middle, and end. After that, he places the finished product in front of an audience of millions. That's the real strategy. That's the mechanism behind the threat. And that's exactly the direction he seemed to be aiming in. T.I was the target in this case. On March 5th, 2026, 50 Cent escalated things further by posting old footage of T.I appearing in court, pairing it with references to a Crime Stoppers hotline. On the surface, it looked like trolling, but the intent felt far more calculated.
You and 50 got a beef or something, man? Because I seen a post today where they were saying that you were supposed to be in, I guess one of the Power, what's the name? I guess two of the actors on the show said that you were actually supposed to be on the show, and then they replaced you with Method Man, and they weren't expecting it or something.
No, that's not true. 50 and I, we were executive producers on a different show outside of the Power universe. But nah, man, me and 50 cool. I'm the only one who's not offended by his brass approach, and he's not offended by mine. So, we play rough, but we ain't no issue. It's a mutual.
The clips and captions were clearly built to push two narratives at once: the long-running snitch accusations and the resurfaced sexual assault allegations. 50 Cent captioned one post: No, I don't like it. No verses. Let's do the stay away challenge and stay away from me, LOL. On the surface it read like a joke, but many people interpreted it differently. Instead of random trolling, it felt more like a preview, almost a trailer for something larger in development. Around the same time, blogger Tasha K entered the conversation and amplified the speculation. On February 28, 2026, she posted on X claiming that sources close to 50 Cent said he was already preparing a documentary project focused on allegations involving the couple. According to her post, the plan was to examine claims of alleged drugging and assault that had circulated for years. She also warned the Harris family to step back and de-escalate the situation, saying they should apologize and fall all the way back, adding that 50 Cent does not play fair when he targets someone publicly. While this unfolded online, 50 Cent also released music that listeners believe contained indirect references. He dropped a track tied to the Power universe titled "No One Told Us What Here For." The lyrics didn't mention T.I directly, but the timing and tone led fans to connect the dots. Then on March 7th, 2026, another record dropped, "No More Tricks, No More Lies," featuring Max B. The lyrics included lines like "No more tricks, no more tries, no more believing the lies," which many interpreted as a direct message aimed at T.I. The caption 50 Cent posted with it was short but striking: "I am the algorithm." That line summed up the strategy behind everything happening. It wasn't just about responding to a rival. It was about controlling attention, shaping the narrative early, and positioning himself as the one driving the story before anyone else could define it. From the outside, the posts, trolling, and music releases didn't feel like the main event. They felt like build-up. The real objective seemed bigger, turning controversy into a structured storyline that could be broadcast, consumed, and replayed at scale. That strategy feels familiar because the template already exists. In 2019, the documentary series Surviving R. Kelly drew massive attention, ultimately being watched by more than 26 million viewers. Surviving R. Kelly later preceded the artist's conviction in 2021. The proposed title Surviving T.I. and Tiny clearly mirrors that same format, signaling exactly the category 50 Cent would be placing T.I. and Tamika Tiny Harris into if the project ever becomes real. From that perspective, the move looks strategic. It creates a defined narrative box around the target and pressures them to respond while the story is already forming in public view. T.I. responded publicly on March 5, 2026, posting a video from the set of his Let Them Know music video where he addressed the situation directly. In the caption, he wrote, "We can go bar for bar, hit for hit, or doc for doc. Either way, all you're going to do is show how much of a fan you is. Let's play. Nobody fears you over here, boo." Shortly after, he released a diss record titled Trauma Bond. When sharing it, he added another caption aimed at 50 Cent, writing, "Drop whatever you choose. Just please keep showing the world who you are. Pandora's box is ajar, sir." The message was clear, T.I. wasn't backing down. But one detail stood out. The phrase doc for doc suggested he may have some kind of documentary project of his own in development, even if nothing has been officially revealed. What remains unknown is whether he has the infrastructure to match 50 Cent's established production network, distribution reach, and built-in audience attention. Meanwhile, the conflict has moved far beyond two rappers exchanging diss records. The tension has pulled in the entire Harris family, and each response from them has amplified the story further. One of the key turning points came from King Harris. His Instagram Live rant targeting 50 Cent marked a shift in the feud from a rap disagreement into something much larger. When King referenced Sabrina Jackson, the reaction online was immediate and explosive. Social media split almost instantly. Some defended King, saying he was standing up for his family, while others argued that referencing someone's deceased parent crossed a line that shouldn't be touched, regardless of the feud. Even as the backlash grew, the situation only continued to escalate. Voices inside hip-hop also began weighing in. Rapper Boozy Badass publicly spoke on the situation and made his position clear. He said King's actions were wrong, stressing that mocking a deceased parent should always be off-limits. According to him, it didn't matter who started the feud. Some lines simply shouldn't be crossed in a public conflict. At the same time, it became clear that King Harris wasn't acting in isolation. The entire Harris family seemed to respond as the situation escalated. T.I.'s other son, Domani Harris, who is 24 and developing his own music career, released a diss track titled Ms. Jackson on February 27, 2026. Unlike the more chaotic social media exchanges, Domani's response stayed rooted in lyrical competition rather than personal attacks, which some listeners saw as a more traditional hip-hop approach. Even younger members of the family were pulled into the moment. Eris Harris, the 9-year-old daughter of T.I. and Tiny, posted a short video of herself singing online. The caption framed it as a response after her mother, Tamika Tiny Harris, had been criticized on social media. The post quickly circulated among fans already following the feud closely. Tamika Tiny Harris eventually addressed the situation herself, breaking her silence on Instagram. She praised her sons and referred to them as her biggest flex for standing up for her. From her perspective, their actions weren't reckless or disrespectful. They were protective, showing a family united when one of their own felt attacked. T.I.'s response was more layered. In a podcast interview, he acknowledged that the situation inside the family was more complicated than what people saw online. He said he had spent years trying to guide King away from this type of public conflict, suggesting the feud had given his son space to ignore long-standing lessons. At the same time, T.I. made clear there were boundaries. He revealed that he personally told King to stop after the t-shirt incident, referring to the moment King wore clothing displaying the image of Sabrina Jackson during a diss video. Even some supporters felt that moment crossed a serious line. Later, T.I. tried to explain his own motivation for engaging in the feud. In an interview with TMZ, he didn't frame it as a victory or competition. Instead, he said the conflict, from his perspective, was about showing the women in his household that the men in their family would stand up for them when they felt disrespected. This changes the narrative from victory versus defeat into something closer to defense versus loyalty. But it also exposes the strategic risk in situations like this. When a family steps into a conflict to protect one another, emotions can escalate quickly. And once certain lines are crossed, the opposing side may suddenly gain material they didn't have before. Observers following the situation closely immediately pointed out that risk. Some commentators even suggested that legal teams could be monitoring the public exchanges very closely. One commentator stated bluntly that 50 Cent's attorneys were likely watching every move from T.I. and his family. From that perspective, even a single misstep could potentially open the door to legal consequences. 50 Cent himself eventually addressed the situation involving his mother. His response was direct. He acknowledged that things had gotten messy, but reminded people of something personal. His mother, Sabrina Jackson, died when he was very young. He pointed out that King Harris had brought her up publicly, framing himself as someone who had been personally hurt in the exchange. In the court of public opinion, the T-shirt incident gave him a position many observers felt carried emotional weight. What began as a rap rivalry now carried a level of personal history that extended far beyond music. Rapper Uncle Murda was also asked about the situation during an interview. At first, he treated it like entertainment, similar to how many online viewers were reacting. But mid-answer, he paused and corrected himself, saying, "It ain't funny games." That moment captured the shift in tone perfectly. At the beginning, the situation looked like another dramatic rap feud playing out online. But once the documentary threat entered the conversation, it stopped feeling like entertainment and started looking like something far more serious. As of March 8, 2026, no documentary has been officially announced. No network has confirmed a deal, and no streaming platform has released an episode. What exists so far is only a threat, a track record, and a carefully maintained silence from 50 Cent. And that silence may be the most strategic move of all. It keeps the conversation alive without revealing the next step. To understand what could come next, many people point to past examples like Surviving R. Kelly, which premiered in 2019 and was watched by roughly 26 million viewers. 2 years later, R. Kelly was convicted and sentenced to 30 years in prison. The documentary did not create the evidence used in court, but it helped organize public understanding of the allegations in a way that strongly shaped how the case was viewed. That is the model many observers believe 50 Cent understands very well. The legal situation involving T.I. is, however, different. The statute of limitations has expired on many of the allegations that surfaced years ago. The civil lawsuit filed in 2024 was dismissed with prejudice, and no criminal charges have been filed against him in connection with those claims. Legally, that distinction matters significantly, but public perception doesn't always follow the same rules as the courtroom. Historically, 50 Cent has shown that he doesn't need a conviction to significantly impact someone's public image. If a documentary like this were ever produced and released on a major platform, the effects could extend far beyond online debate. T.I.'s touring plans tied to Kill the King could face protests or cancellations. His trap music museum and other business ventures might come under increased scrutiny. Even his acting credits, including appearances in the Ant-Man films, could become part of a broader public discussion. If such a documentary reached a major streaming platform, the ripple effects could extend across nearly every part of T.I. and Tamika, Tiny Harris's public and professional life. Instead of coverage focused on music, business, or media projects, the narrative could shift toward the allegations themselves. However, there is also another possibility. If the documentary turns out to be weak, if it includes no new accusers, no new evidence, and no meaningful revelations, the strategy could backfire. T.I. has maintained a defiant public stance for years, and his fan base has supported him through federal gun charges, prison time, and repeated controversies. That loyalty has been tested before, and many supporters have remained that if 50 Cent's production ends up appearing more like personal rivalry than serious investigative storytelling, it could strengthen T.I.'s supporters instead of weakening them. Some fans are already pushing that interpretation online, arguing that 50 Cent's moves are driven more by rivalry and trolling than accountability. The interpretation isn't surprising. There is also a counter-threat that T.I. himself hinted at during the back and forth. He used the phrase "doc for doc," which suggested he may have his own documentary project in development, one that could potentially explore 50 Cent's past conflicts, business disputes, and personal controversies that have never been fully examined in a formal production. Whether that project truly exists or not is still unclear, but the idea alone creates the image of a standoff. And perception is exactly where 50 Cent tends to excel. Many people watching the feud believe T.I. and his family may have won the rap portion of the battle. The diss tracks landed, the social media responses were loud, and the Harris family appeared united and active in defending Tamika, Tiny Harris. From a pure rap beef standpoint, some fans argue T.I.'s side had the stronger showing, but not everyone agrees that this is what matters long-term. Others point to something different. 50 Cent's history of outlasting rivals who initially believed they had the upper hand. Over the years, several opponents have felt ahead in the moment, only for the situation to shift later. That skepticism highlights a bigger reality. A rap battle and a documentary are two completely different arenas, and 50 Cent has already shown he understands how to dominate the second one on a scale that diss tracks cannot match. King Harris displayed confidence during the same Instagram Live, where the feud reached its most personal point. From his perspective, the family was standing firm and responding to disrespect the way they felt was necessary. The confidence was obvious, but what remains uncertain is whether confidence alone is enough for the kind of fight that may be developing behind the scenes. Every moment, the t-shirt incident, the Instagram rant, and the use of sensitive imagery has already been seen by more than just fans. It has also been observed by people analyzing the situation from legal, media, and production angles. And one thing history shows about 50 Cent is that he rarely moves without a plan. This is someone who survived being shot multiple times, rebuilt his career after financial setbacks, and repeatedly proved critics wrong when they thought he was finished. Whether people agree with his methods or not, strategy has always been central to how he operates. Now the diss tracks are fading into the background. The trolling posts are slowing down. And the real question, the one this entire story has been building toward, is still hanging in the AI or is the documentary actually coming? Because if it does, the impact likely won't be about rap lyrics anymore. It will be about the story it tells. And once that kind of story reaches millions of viewers, the conversation can shift very quickly.